So, and we're talking about the, when you say that the missing link here in addressing the Asian market is pipeline capacity.
Yes.
There are some who are not bothering with that. And I want to talk about Russia here for a moment. And I'm glad that my colleague and the co-chair of the Arctic Caucus is with me today, because it's an issue that I think we are just closing our eyes to here in the United States. And that's what is going on with Russia and how Russia is working to meet the Asian demand for natural gas. Now, there's a lot of discussion. I think everybody over here, Senator Manchin just mentioned his opposition to the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. We focus a lot on the sanctions against Russia in these asking our European friends and allies to join us with this. And again, a lot of discussion there. Well, up in the top, up in the Yamal Peninsula right now, Russia is going huckle-de-buckle, and they are producing in a way, bringing on these resources that I think has really been quite remarkable. And they are not building a pipeline across Siberia. What they're doing is they're putting that natural gas into LNG tankers. These are tankers that are being built by South Korea. They're ice strengthened so they can go through the Northern Sea. They are going down, they're coming right through the Bering Strait, 20, 30, 40 miles from Alaska, going down and meeting the demand in Korea. They're working with Japan to supply Japan with natural gas. Nobody is raising the hue and the cry about, well, wait a minute, where are the Russian sanctions when it comes to oil over here? In Alaska, we're still quite a few years away. We've been struggling to get an agreement for a pipeline through Alaska that could take our natural gas to Tidewater and supply that Asian market. Our market has never been in the lower 48. It's always been Asia. We're working to gain these partnerships. We've made good headway, not only with Korea, Japan, Vietnam, Russia, certainly with Russia with the past administration. But if you can give me some of your observations here, you mentioned it a little bit about Russia's role, but how has the stepped up activity in Russia, particularly coming off the Yamal Peninsula, how has the increased LNG production in the Arctic impacted the global energy markets as well as the Russian sanctions here? Because I'm trying to get some attention to the Arctic issues. And I think we just kind of have a tendency to either stick our head in the sand or stick our head in the snow on this one. And Russia's not sitting around waiting. Yeah. And neither are some of our other Arctic neighbors. And in fact, our non-Arctic neighbors, China, Japan, Korea, are having discussions about this. As we speak, they're more involved in the Arctic right now than we are.
This is an excellent question. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Let me put it this way. There are two important current and possible customers of Russia, Europe and Asia. In Europe, many countries since a long time came to the conclusion that they need to reduce the Russian gas imports because of the energy security. But what is happening is just opposite. At the end of 2018, the share of Russian gas in the European gas consumption reached to record high, about close to 40%, mainly in addition to pipelines, as you mentioned, the LNG coming from Russia to Europe. it is a very important trend. 40% of the European gas, close to 40%, comes from Russia, pipelines, and now with LNG. This is, leave aside the Russia or any other countries' political intentions, for any business to rely on one single partner is, in my view, is a risky way to go. Plus, European domestic gas production is in a decline now. There are a couple of fields which are in a decline. Therefore, European gas imports will increase very rapidly. Now, the question is, new imports will come from, again, from Russia or from other countries. This is a historical moment. It is the reason why I tried to say in the beginning of my remarks, in my view, if the US government, US administration uses in a wise way, we may well see the full impact of shale starting now. And how we see it, we see that the US shale comes to the markets in a big time and also competes with the Russian and other gas exporters. Some people say that the US gas, US LNG is more expensive than the Russian pipe. But I say the following. We have calculated, Madam Chair. Let's assume one major European economy who has no LNG facility. If this country decides to build an LNG facility, it will give this country a very important negotiation power with the contracts they have with the pipeline exporters, such as Russia. And because they will say, if you don't bring the prices down, I have an LNG facility, I will import LNG. And we have calculated that if they improve their LNG contracts, only 1% of the gas prices as a result of having another option in their hand, it will be enough to finance a major LNG facility for 30 years. So therefore, to have the LNG facility there would be very important to negotiate with Russia and the others to bring the prices down. This is number one. Number two, many countries, some OPEC members and Russia wants to bring the oil prices up higher levels. If the oil prices go up, since most of those contracts to Europe are indexed to oil prices, those gas prices will go up. And in the United States, as one of the senators mentioned here, most of the gas in the United States is associated gas. Since the oil prices go up, oil production will go up. Therefore, the shale gas production will go up, and the prices of gas will go down. So the difference between the contracted oil, gas to oil index gas prices will go up, US shale prices will go down, and economically it will be much more feasible. Coming back to Asia, a completely different picture. I see a huge opportunity, US LNG having a major market share in Asia, especially replacing inefficient coal plants. Because the biggest headache today in China, India, Thailand, in those countries is the air pollution in the cities, local pollution in the cities. And natural gas may well be the key solution to all of those countries, and they are building LNG terminals. China built, only in the last 5 years, 13 new LNG terminals. And the United States, together with Australia, is a very good candidate to bring LNG there, also to India, also to Japan, of course, to Korea, the other countries in the Southeast Asia region of the world. So there will be a very harsh competition between the established exporters such as Russia and the US LNG, and I see many great opportunities for the U.S. LNG to have a good competition, bringing more flexibility to the markets. Because U.S. LNG is much more flexible and much more optional, and I see that it will be bringing more, will make the gas markets much more fluid than it is today. And it is the reason many countries are now building LNG terminals. When we look at the next 10 years, we see that the LNG trade is at least 3 times faster developing compared to pipeline gas trade. There's a big growth there, and U.S. is the #1 candidate to fill that gap, madam.
I'm going to come back to the Arctic because I'm still curious about how you see Russia's LNG into the Asian countries and impacting that. But I didn't stop you because I think that what you have outlined is so key to all of these discussions. But I want to have a little more follow on there. But let me turn to Senator King.